Here are 5 ways to get the recognition and love you deserve as a musician. My name is Joseph Arnold, and I'm a violinist, Alexander technique teacher, award-winning author, and the director of the Soulforce Arts Institute. And today, I'm going to share with you 5 ways to get the recognition and love you deserve as a musician. And so here's a brief overview. We're going to talk about the challenges that many musicians face. We're going to talk about the solution to those challenges. I'll share a little bit about my own story, how I overcame my challenges of repetitive strain injuries and performance anxiety. And then I'm going to share with you the 5 ways and some steps that you can take to help get you that recognition and love, overcome your injuries, your anxieties, and get that recognition and love you deserve. So before we get into the material today, I want to say if you want to get my free PDF guide related to all of this, where I go into more detail, you can do that at soulforcearts.com, and I'll put the link in the description below. So, okay, here we go. How to get the recognition and love you deserve as a musician. This is a really big issue for a lot of us, right? This is really what we want underneath all our desires to become a musician. And so let me say this, I'll start here. I believe that you, as a musician, have a profound purpose. And that purpose to me is to develop your gifts fully and to give them well for people who will love you for them. Right? That's what we all really want underneath what brings us to music in the first place. To develop ourselves, develop our gifts fully, and to be able to give them well for people who will love us for them. Love us, yeah, for our gifts. Right? And so when that happens, right, it feels amazing, right? It feels great to develop your gifts, to master something, to get better at something. And it feels really good to be in situations where you can give your gifts well, when that's really when you're in the zone, when you're performing. And then, of course, it's harder to get in the zone when you don't have an audience there to receive you, and an audience who's really receptive to what you're doing, right? So we need all these different factors in play. And when that happens, it's like a circuit gets connected. Boom! That's when you give your best performances. That's when you feel the most alive. That's when you get the most audience love, right? So that's really what we're going for here. We want the confluence of mastery and giving your gifts well and having them be well received. And so the challenge is that so many of us as musicians have some pretty big performance blocks, such as injuries or performance anxiety, an overactive inner critic, self-doubt, impostor syndrome. And then other things like an inability or just finding a lot of challenge in making a living, but getting enough gigs, getting paid enough to be able to support yourself doing this. And then there are even bigger issues like existential issues. Like, does my art even matter in today's world? Right? So these are pretty big blocks. And if you don't overcome these, if you don't address them fully, then you're never going to find that special place where the circuit gets connected, where you really get the love and recognition you deserve. So what we're going to do today is discover what's going on there, what's the root cause problem behind all of these challenges, and what's the root cause solution, and what are some action steps you can take. And so before I share about these 5 ways that you can start getting the recognition and love you deserve, I'm going to share a little bit about my story to help you understand where I'm coming from, and it'll also illustrate the journey that you might go through as well. So, like I said, I'm a violinist, and I went to music school in hopes of becoming a concert violinist, professional, maybe having a solo classical concert career. And that dream was interrupted while I was in school because I had really serious repetitive strain injuries. It was in both arms, like tennis elbow, tendonitis kind of thing. And pretty soon it spread to my neck, and my back, and my shoulders, and it was really bad. I could barely play anymore. My career in violin seemed to be over before it started because I couldn't get any help. I saw everybody. My violin teacher told me, oh, you should just learn how to relax. Like, thanks. I saw all the doctors, chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapy. I did everything. And a lot of it was helpful for a little while, but my pain always kept coming back. And then I had other issues like performance anxiety. I would just fall apart like in the master class in front of my peers. I mean, I loved performing, but there would be so much fear. And so I really felt blocked. And what really changed things for me was finding the Alexander technique. And this is a method of learning how to use your body with less tension, more freedom and fluidity. And the Alexander technique took me from playing like this, all hunched up, to playing really fluidly. And that improved my technique. Of course, it relieved the pain. I could play much longer and with more comfort. But it also improved my musicality. So what I learned was that musicality, creative expression, needs to be able to flow, right? But it's like water through a hose, right? But my hose was all kinked up because I was so tight in my body, and I didn't even realize that this is what was happening. I didn't realize that this was what was blocking or that my musicality was being blocked in the first place. I was just so used to it, and I find that's the case for a lot of us. And so what I learned from that was that I think that the deeper lesson that I took away from that was that I had a deeper purpose to my music, and how I would get to that purpose was through this letting go process and aligning my musical career with that deeper purpose. And that deeper purpose was to bring myself, bring my art, bring my audiences more to life. And that's really what happened. When I was so tense, I was playing in kind of a robotic way, and that's not very life-giving. But when I was freer, then my music became much more life-giving. My audiences loved me for it, right? I got a lot more appreciation from my audiences. And of course, I felt better. So this is a journey that you can go through as well. And so I'll now share these 5 ways of, like here's the key to the whole thing, is getting in touch with your artistic purpose. This is a big part of what I have in my book, which is called Soulforce: How to Discover Your Artistic Purpose, Create More Freely, and Make Art That Matters. And if you want to resolve all these issues, performance anxiety, injuries, tennis elbow, carpal tunnel syndrome, back pain, all the self-doubt and the impostor syndrome, the depression, feeling lost, like all of that, all those are basically different symptoms of the same problem, which is disconnection from your purpose, your artistic purpose. So these 5 ways of getting more love and recognition as an artist that I'm going to share now are all about getting back in touch with your purpose, aligning your whole musical career with your purpose. Okay, so briefly, I'm going to go through these. Again, if you want more detail, you can get my guide, my PDF guide. Okay, the first way is to realign to the true purpose of the arts, which is to bring us more alive, to inspire, heal, and connect. All right, the second way is to create a mission statement, and a mission statement for your art. What are you here to do? Put it as clearly as possible. And you can do that through 3 steps. Let me take a step back. So the first way was aligning to the true purpose of the arts. I want to give you something to do there. And so just review your artistic life, your musical activities, and ask yourself, am I moving towards life or away from life in how I practice, in how I perform? What's going on with the performance anxiety? What's going on with the injuries? Does that suggest a frame of mind where I'm moving towards life, inspiration, healing, and connection, or away? All right, so that's something you can do. Okay, the second thing is to make an actionable mission statement. There are 3 parts to that. First is 3 tangible goals: financial goals as a musician, and performance goals. Okay, make them really, really clear and tangible, measurable, actionable. Like doubling my income, or being able to play with 90% less performance anxiety, that kind of thing. Okay, second step for your mission statement is setting a timeline in 6 months, in 1 year, in 5 weeks, that kind of thing. And then the third is your deeper why. Why is this important to you? Why are you doing this? Because I want to spread more love in the world through my music, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's your mission statement. The fourth is to achieve peak performance. So if you want to get more love and recognition, you have to play really well, right? And maybe you do already in lots of ways, but the fact that you're listening to this, you have some blocks, it means that you're not achieving your full potential. And usually what happens when you're not achieving your full potential is that you're focusing on one of three aspects of mastery and ignoring the other two. So I call this Soulforce mastery, and I talk about this in my book. There are three aspects: technique, effortlessness, and the knowledge of the soul. You need all three. Technique is what we all know. It's like how you do your thing. It's how you give form to your music, your art, the repertoire, the scales and exercises. All right, everybody knows that stuff. If you do that stuff, you need that stuff. But if you only focus on that, then you miss the other two things, which are effortlessness. How freely can you do something? Can you really say that you've mastered something unless it's effortless? Probably not. So you also need effortlessness training, and you also need training in getting in touch with the knowledge of the soul. And the effortlessness piece often takes care of that, at least in large part. When you're freer, just like I said in my story, you unkink the hose, your musicality, your authentic, creative soul force comes through automatically. All right, so you can kind of inquire into your musical life as a whole and ask yourself, are you really touching on all three of those? Technique, effortlessness, and the knowledge of the soul. Okay, so the fourth piece is now moving more outward into audience engagement. So you gotta get to know what your audiences actually want from your music. And once you discover that, then you can use that in your marketing materials. Instead of having egocentric marketing, hey, look at me, I'm performing this. You want to have audience-centric marketing. Hey, here's what my music can do for you. And so the way you can do that is to conduct audience interviews. Ask your audience members, people who have heard you play, what do you love about my music? What brings you to my performances? Questions like this, and I have a series of questions in that PDF guide. Ask them this, you'll get so much clearer on why they're coming out to see you. And then you start to use that why in all your marketing materials, and more people will start to come, because then they can connect with what it is that your music has to offer beyond like the name of the piece or the style, the genre that you're playing, which is oftentimes harder for people to connect with. Okay, fifth is to position yourself as a guide. Again, this is a more outward-facing sort of marketing level step. And what you want to do is, once you identify what your audience wants, you position yourself, your music, your album, your performances, your teaching, whatever it is, as a guide to help people get there. And again, this is something that you can do in your marketing. Hey, I'm an expert in blank, whatever it is that your audiences do. And my shows are not just a show for entertainment, but they're a show to help you get to blank, right? If you do that, you're taking your audience on a journey, and that's what they want from you. They want to go on a journey. If you describe that journey well and position yourself and your music as a guide to get there, you're going to see a big improvement in audience engagement and building your audience, and people are going to know your brand. They're going to know what it is that you offer much more clearly. And clarity, that's the whole ticket in marketing right there. You want that clarity. Okay, so those are the 5 ways of getting more recognition and love as a musician. And before we wrap up, I want to say a little bit about the stakes. What's at stake here? So if you don't take action here on all of this, then you're going to get more of the same of what you've been experiencing. You're going to get more of the same with injuries and the impostor syndrome and the self-doubt and the anxiety and struggling to get gigs that both pay well and are fulfilling, right? And down that road is just despair. I hear so many musicians like that they're like on the verge of giving up because they have so much to offer, and yet it's not connecting. The way that they've set up their musical life doesn't allow for that connection to happen, like I was talking about in the beginning. So that's the way to despair and giving up and going and getting a real job, right? But if you do take action, then your whole musical life could change and become so wonderful. You'll feel so much more inspired, you'll have passion and purpose, and you'll be getting the recognition you deserve, you'll be getting that audience love, And beyond that, you'll be like making a real impact. You'll be inspiring your audiences through your music. And that's what we want, right? A fulfilling life where you get paid well to do the thing that you love doing, right? This is what we're after. And so you have to take action. You have to be willing to let go of what you've been doing in certain ways and embrace some new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, and you have to take action. And so if you want more details on which actions to take, again, you can get my PDF guide, and it's for free at my website, soulforcearts.com. And if you also are ready if this is inspiring you, you want to take some action, you can book a call with me. Again, you can go to soulforcearts.com and look for the book a call link. And what we'll do on that call is get clarity on your steps to getting the love and recognition that you deserve. And it's really simple. So you book a call, and then you can take one of my programs, and achieve peak performance, relieve your performance blocks, and so you can start to get that audience love. And then the third step is putting it out there in the world, so you do get that audience love, so you can perform at your best, so you can find that creative fulfillment and make a more sustainable living and feel better as you play. So all that's on offer. It's quite straightforward, and you'll find more information about all that on my website. And I hope you do take action here, because the world needs your music. It really does. It might not seem like that sometimes. It can feel so lonely to be on this path. But that's only because you haven't aligned your musical life with your purpose. And if you want some help with that, I can help you. And then that feeling of loneliness and being lost and the existential dread and all the pain and fear, all that will start to go away by itself. I've seen this happen many times with my students. And it can happen for you too, if you want to step up and take action. So I hope you do that. That's all for now. I'll see you next time.